Mike, Rowan
Yep.
is ready to share.
Some of my favorite and most used programs may be very similar to your own. Some I've used for a long time and I'm comfortable with them and they do what I need. There may be better ones, but I might not need the new features. I use a desktop computer with 2 monitors, have a laptop for occasional mobile and travel use. I don't usually turn my computer off unless I'm going away for days. I do restart a couple times a week to clear everything. Shutdown saves too many settings, so it's better to restart often. Okay. My favorite email program has been Thunderbird for a long time. I use that every morning to download any new emails. I have 5 email accounts, 2 of which I use regularly and 3 are the throwaways for when you have to give an address to access a website that you know will probably advertise or spam you and may not respect your unsubscribe request. I've been very happy with Thunderbird as my email client, and I'm very used to it. It's easy to have different things, and you can make your own folders to put ones you want to keep. If anything you subscribe to, I subscribe to Excel things on this one. So there's a whole bunch of Excel things I can read. Okay, next I go to browsers. Firefox is my favorite browser. I've been using that again for a long time. I always have way too many tabs open that I thought I'd get back to. The internet really causes like info overload, as I'm always finding something interesting I'd like to know more about. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos about carpentry, furniture building, Excel, and other interests, even though I've been a carpenter for 50 years. I still can learn new things.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
can I throw in a question now, or you want them at the end, or?
You can, no, I don't care. Go ahead.
Okay, while you're on the Firefox, I also use Firefox.
Right.
But I'm curious, are there any particular, I see you have a couple of the extensions up there. Are there a couple of extensions that you absolutely can't live without?
Like which one? I don't use too many extensions on that, I don't think.
The second, just below, there you go, right over in there. Nope. Nope, to the right, to the right. You have the gear icon, which is your settings. Nope, down a little bit. To the right of the address bar.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you go.
Here.
Yes. And to the
Oh,
left
here's
of
the
that.
gear. Here's the gear. I'm sorry.
Right.
This is a screenshot. It's not my real,
Oh, okay.
It's not up there right now.
Andy, if you can hold that question, I was thinking of having another panel presentation about browsers, websites, and add-ins.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Mike just looks so colorful, I figured I'd throw it out.
Yeah.
Thanks. I use Chrome also. I have 2 monitors, so I have Firefox open on one and Chrome open on the other. So I can go back and forth, and I get distracted, like we do with here. Like I know John has a million tabs open all the time too. The internet causes info overload. I'm always finding something interesting. Carpentry and so on and so forth, and other interests. Actually, my dryer stopped working. My gas dryer stopped working. It's 20 plus years old. I went online. I found out what to check. I took it apart. I bought the part for $16 and fixed it. It took me an hour and a half to take it apart, an hour and a half to put it together. New dryers are like $1,000. Luckily, I'm handy enough to do that. All right. Here in this browser, I got a customer that wants a piece of furniture built, with a dog kennel inside of it, where the TV will be above and there'll be cabinets on both sides. So I looked at, I just typed into Google wooden dog crates for furniture, wooden dog crates furniture, and I got thousands of pictures of people who have done things. So that really helps me, with ideas. I also use Chrome, and, I occasionally play Wordle to, take a break for 10 minutes. I love that game. My spreadsheet of choice is obviously Excel. And I still prefer the 2002 version. I have 365 and I use that when I need, the new features that they have, which are incredible, some of them, but lots of times I don't need them. I do my business and billing things on it. I've run dart leagues and golf leagues forever, that I used to do manually with a, calculator. And, I've written these huge spreadsheets that take 4 and 5 seconds to even save, where normally it takes nothing. Okay. So this works better for me because I can have everything I need in this part of the ribbon. I don't need to jump back and forth. Here's Excel 365 I got to keep changing the thing and I forget where certain things are. Yes. Can I make my own? I did Mike here, but it doesn't, I'm just so much faster with the old version. Word processing for me is also Word 2002. Here's the thing I copied off the internet. And, these were the things I had to check on my dryer. Turned out to be this igniter thing. And then I just went on Amazon. I found people wanted $46 for it, $36. They were out of stock. And I found one for $16. It's a perfect match. Oh, wait a second here. Word processing. Yeah. I also do mailing lists, my Christmas cards and labels with Microsoft Word. There's a learning curve there too, of course. But the labels work out great if if you're doing a lot of labels for, my golf club or something, I have to send a letter to a bunch of people. My next thing is, here's Word 365 too. I have that also. And, I just copy stuff off the internet, and sometimes I need the features in this one. There's new features in all of them. Now with my CAD program that I use a lot, I pay for this. There is a free version. I do a lot of drafting and drawing plans for the cabinets, built-ins, remodeling, and general figuring out the geometry in my carpentry business. I've used this program since 2006. It was free then. It does have a serious learning curve, but probably no worse than any Fusion 360 or any of the other similar programs, of which there are many. But with this, I'm going to change to it now. I had a customer who gave me this picture. Okay. She got it off of Houses or Pinterest or somewhere, and she likes this for her office. All right. So what I did was, pencil drawer, right? I drew this up for her. I scaled the drawing off, which you can do with this. If she wants to ship nickel gap shiplap in the middle here, and the shelves and the drawers and so on and so forth in the desk, and the crown molding, which I've done a ton of for her already. So what I do with this is there's I do an exploded view of all the parts I need. Okay, you just move them apart. And then there's a free add-in for this. It's an open source program. So free, John, you'll love that. Called Open Cut List. So I can just go here and click parts and go generate. And it'll tell me all the parts I need, all the sizes. I can print this out. I can go to get a cutting diagram. Here's one here. Okay, generate the cutting diagram, and it shows me how many sheets I need and what I need, where the waste is and so on and so forth. Occasionally it's off a little bit and I see a better way to cut it myself. It's just a wonderful free program that I really just discovered only 2 months ago or so.
Mike,
Yeah.
Kagel here. Do you use a tablet, a drawing tablet, or do you use a mouse only?
Mouse only, mouse and keyboard shortcuts.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you don't have to draw this, you know, here I can just, all right, I just can go here and draw a line, okay?
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want. You can do triangles and occasionally I have to figure out a wacky angle. I know it's, an ellipsis could be, you know, this distance and then the rise could be that. And I can figure all that stuff out on this. The geometry capabilities that help me are enormous here. I mean, I can do it all on a calculator too, but it's a lot easier here when I can just go, what's this angle? For instance, here. We'll do something weird. I can go over here. Well, actually I have a keyboard shortcut for that. And I can go there and I can go boom. And down here, whoops, that one didn't work. Why isn't that? Usually down here, it shows me what that angle is, like 32.5 degrees or whatever it is. I don't know why this isn't working right now, but yeah, this is, I use this constantly. I pay for this, you know, there is a free version, but there's tools that aren't available in the free version because I use it so much that it's worth, you know, the expensive price I have to pay a year for it. Okay, after this.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Before the pandemic, if you can remember back that far,
I think I can.
maybe a year or two before then, you had agreed to do a presentation for the graphics group about SketchUp. We never got around to doing that.
I know, because, you know, I just wasn't, it's evolved since then. My talents with it too, even though I've been using it for a long time. We can talk about that later.
Okay, I'll be in touch.
Okay. Okay, I guess we're moving on to my next thing. Number 6 is files. So kill this. No. Okay, for files, moving around and organizing my hard drive, I mostly use Windows File Explorer. I don't really use like the ones they force you, documents, music, pictures, and videos. There's not one file in any of those for me. I have my own system. I don't want them forcing me into certain places. It works great. It does what I'm used to, and it's simple enough and for my needs, and it's sufficient. When I forget where I left the file, which happens occasionally, I can't remember. I know, where did I put that one? Because I have a lot of directories. Everything is a free file thing. It's a free utility I use when I'm searching for files. It's a search engine for Windows. Everything is different from other search engines. It's a small installation file, clean and simple user interface, quick file indexing, which I find with File Explorer takes forever sometimes, but John told me earlier that maybe I'm just not indexing it properly. It's quick indexing, quick searching, quick startup, minimal resource usage, small database on disk, real-time updating. It works great when you're trying to find a file, you're not sure where you left it, or maybe even the spelling of the thing. You can leave, I think you can use wildcard characters. Like here, I just put in .doc, shows me every document file on my entire drive, which I shortened the thing. And, you know, this was pages and pages long, I'm sure. And it shows you what directory it's in. Oop, too far. Size, date, modified, so on and so forth. You can change what is up here, I'm sure, like just like File Explorer. Okay. Next, I use a screen capture that comes with Microsoft Windows, Snip and Sketch. So I have to go in here and start that. And then I just go new. And then I go over here and it grays the screen out, but now maybe I only need that part of something on the web that won't let you highlight and copy it into a file. And now it's on your clipboard. You can copy it to Word, Excel, whatever you want, and do whatever you want with it. It works great. There's other things that I don't really use. You can like highlight stuff and do all kinds of other crazy things here. I just don't, I don't use any of the other things. I just use it to snip. And it works great. There are other ones. And I think I downloaded one, but this one does everything I personally need.
How do you access that?
Well, I have it. It's okay. I don't know if this is going to show up on you.
I mean, when I use it, the Windows key, Shift S.
Yeah, okay.
starts that.
John, I'm a dinosaur. I still have an IBM 1051 keyboard without a Windows key on it. So I can't use that. I've tried remapping. Okay. I remap caps lock to the Windows key with Power Toys, but it doesn't seem to work. So I tried print screen, but then it messed up Excel with me. There was other things that wouldn't work when I tried to change it to print screen, which I never used. But I still have the old 101 keyboard on this, I guess, whatever it's called. But it's so tactile.
So how did you start Snip and Sketch?
Well, I found it in here.
We can't
Well,
see that.
I'm sorry. All right, can I move this over to there? No. You go to the start button and it's in there. And the S's, when you hit the S button, it's, well, I don't know how many other S's you have on yours, but it's Snip and Sketch is right there. I just right click and hit more and I pin it to the taskbar, and that's how I use it. And there's
Well,
other,
if you type snip and you click on search and you type snip, S-N-I-P,
right.
in the search, it comes up snipping tool app. And the snipping tool app, if you click it, it's a little bit different than the Snip and Sketch that you're talking about. Because I use Snip and Sketch also.
Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you, Bob.
Yep.
I just use it from my taskbar. I have it in there. It works fine for me. I'm real happy with it.
Yeah, and it is in the menu on Windows 10
Right.
and 11. So
Yeah. There are other ones available I've read about, but this one does everything I personally need. So, you know, if I need something different, I'll check out a better one. For PDF viewer, I like Foxit Reader. It's free. You can have as many tabs open as you want. It does it. Here's a hand screw kit I bought that makes some wooden hand screws. And, you know, here's the directions, or part of the directions. It works terrific too. I'm real happy with it. They just changed the interface. It's a little different than I'm used to. There must have been an upgrade I didn't realize just the other day. Anyway, you can save things. You can do whatever you want. You can't edit them unless you have the password with PDFs, but that's why they are. So you can't change things and send it out and people think, you know, I could change this, that the threads go the other way or something. Yeah. And that's why PDFs aren't editable normally. Moving on to number 9, hard disk monitoring. This is a paid version of Hard Disk Sentinel that I'm pretty sure I learned about this at a general meeting here at BCUG. I pay for the utility a few years ago. I usually have about 5 hard drives running, and some are partitioned, and it just shows you everything you need to know about the drive, the health, the rating up to 100%. It runs automatically at boot up and checking every drive. So yeah, I have one here that's only 90%. That's my newest drive. It's a WD black, and it's the newest drive. It has the lowest health rating already. This E drive, where's my E drive? See, E, this one, 100%. This is the oldest drive I have in my machine. I don't understand, but it does tell you what's going on. You know when you are. Luckily, I haven't had a crash in a while, quite a while, but I have had ones that I lost 3-4 months of where I was and what I did every day before I build the people. So that was a problem. I think this is well worth the, it's not that expensive. I forget what it was now.
Now you have one SSD in there.
Yeah,
It says that it's only 95% health.
I know.
That's weird.
That's my C drive. And I never use that. I only have whatever the operating system is on. My D and E drives are the ones I keep all my files on. I don't hardly keep anything on the C drive. But it's only a 500, which was expensive at the time when I bought it. I don't remember how many years ago now. Yeah. But it hasn't dropped. It hasn't dropped from 95 in months. So.
Well, Western Digital usually comes with a hard drive monitoring on the hard drive.
Yeah, it does. And I'll get to that. Wait, is that in this one? Yeah, I have my one other black drive has that too. I'll get to that in the next segment here. But you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drives, but one of these is D, K, and L are the same real drive and just partitioned out. And I have an old MyBook thing that's full, and but I rarely use that. Okay, as far as backup, I use, you know, based on information I've learned over years from the internet and members in the club that I highly respect, many of them. Macrium, Reflect, and Acronis are both very good programs to use for this task. You can set up automatic backups easily. Thankfully, I haven't had a hard disk crash in a long time, but I have lost a lot of info. I must be overdue, so backup is critical before failure. This is the Macrium. It's real easy to set up. You want to clone, you want to image, you want to do whatever you want to do. It's pretty easy. Acronis. I have Acronis that I couldn't get a good screenshot of the other one, but my one Western Digital drive came with it, a version of it. And yes, I use that and it backs up perfectly. I just have to go in and occasionally delete old backups that I don't need.
So you don't have the Acronis subscription, I take it.
You know what, Fred? I'm not positive.
You don't have to pay for it every year, do you?
No.
And you don't have the subscription.
Okay, I don't have the subscription.
That's the one that came with the drive.
This is the one that came with the drive, but I do have another version somehow that I couldn't, that says, I'm sorry, you can't see this screen. I have two monitors. Acronis system report, activate Acronis startup recovery media. I assume it's not wide enough. Add new disk, bootable rescue media builder, clone disk, drive cleanser, manage Acronis secure zone, system cleanup, and user's guide. So I have all those things. I don't know if that works, but this does work. So
Do you have a standalone emergency recovery disk?
probably not, Fred. Don't spank me.
No spanking. But
No spanking allowed in BCUG.
a backup is of no value if you don't have an up-to-date recovery medium. Either
Oh, I'm sure I have Hirons. I'm sure I have
No,
Hirons.
that's not,
No.
you have to have a Macrium Reflect, either flash drive or CD, DVD that you can plug in and boot to so that you can read the backup.
All right, I'll do that as soon as the meeting's over.
Same thing is true for an
See, I learned stuff here too.
Now, I was going to mention again, I mentioned at the beginning, actually, that you could still, members have access to the members only area where I forget their name. They've made presentations to us. We can
Unger or something.
Barlow.
Unger, wasn't it Unger or somebody for Acronis?
Gene Barlow.
What's his name?
Gene Barlow.
Gene
Barlow,
Barlow.
that's what Gene Barlow.
Thanks, Andy. Gene Barlow has a coupon in the vendors area of the members only section on our website. If you have problems getting in there because you forgot the password, etc., just contact me and I'll give you that. So if you happen to want to get, he has some various of the Acronis packages available with discounts, I think half price. So Macrium is going, the free version is going to go away at the end of 2024. And so one has to make a decision about what to do with all of those. There was a discussion about, from Mary Kirk, about using the built-in Microsoft backup tools, which maybe someday we need to go through Windows and see how to use those. But okay.
While you're talking about the vendors, just to back up to Mike's hard disk Sentinel, John Kennedy, I'm sure, was on the meeting. Through APCUG, they had an arrangement, I'm not sure if it's still in effect, where as a group member, you would get a discount to hard disk Sentinel. They talked about it in their presentation, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago, but the vendor was offering a discount to members.
Andy, I think I probably got that. I don't remember what it was now because I've had it for, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 years.
Gabe Goldberg is the one who arranged that. And
Yeah, well, he gave a talk and yeah.
right. Okay, so Mike, you've reached.
Thank you, everyone. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them if I can.
We've
No, that was great. Very interesting.
we
Thank
may
you.
have time for more questions later. Mike, if you stop sharing, I'm going to start
Okay.
Mary sharing.
Okay. All right. Did it. Hello, everyone.
I'm
Hello.
I'm going to tell you about my experience using my home computer as I don't have a technical background. I've worked with computers in my past. So 8 years ago, I retired from a position in the state auditor's office. The nature of that position was quite data intensive. It was my baptism of fire. It was my first experience using desktop computing. We relied on Excel and with a lot of help from other people, Access, to do queries. And we used these programs for selecting and organizing and sorting large volumes of data, and then relied on Word to write our interim audit reports and status reports and final audit reports. They were all lengthy and they went through extensive review processes, required a lot of updating. So and that was my baptism of fire. I worked there for about 7 years and then reached retirement age and I retired. So it was old software. They were still using Windows XP and with the drop-down menus. So we had no ribbons. And I had never really given my home computer usage much thought. So mainly I used it for emails. So when I was getting ready to retire, I figured I'd have fun at my retirement party, hand in my laptop, and that would be the end of my using Excel and Word. However, it didn't work out that way. Once I became retired, I found that I had now had time to focus on some of my hobbies and also to do some substantial volunteer work. So I became the unpaid treasurer of a nonprofit group, and requires a lot of data collection and data analysis and board presentations, and I'm also their membership chairperson. So that requires collecting dues and membership rosters and things like that. So I've pretty much focused on using Excel and Word as my favorite programs. So I don't have a top 10, but I have I have the 4 most frequently used programs that I use are Google Chrome, Excel, Word, and File Explorer. So Google Chrome, I pretty much use for my emails and for accessing other things like YouTube and things like that, which sort of seem to be getting me through life. So I'm going to show you how I use MS Excel. Mainly, I use it for organizing my personal information, and which includes, income taxes, my household expenses, miscellaneous information that we need in just running our everyday lives. For my hobbies, I have a big music hobby. I sing with a semi-professional choir, and so as part of that, I have to keep music scores organized. We have about 3 or 4 concerts a year, and we use 4 or 5 scores for each one. And so I've been there for 30 years, so that's a lot of scores, and we have to pull these scores up at different times if we're reusing them. You don't want to have to keep buying them, because some of them cost $50 a clip, and so they need to be organized. And so, all right, so in terms of my uses for Excel, I have found that my personal finances, once I retired, got a lot more complicated, and my information needed organization. Managing money coming in and out is a lot different than it was when I used to get a paycheck and had all my my health insurance was deducted from my paycheck, and my insurance payments were deducted from my paycheck, my savings, my loan pay, everything was deducted from the paycheck. So I didn't really have any accounting to do. But now that I'm retired, I have to keep track of all this and make the payments on my own. So I find that I have a lot of schedules for money coming in, money going out, for tracking my income taxes. So I'm sure that there are a lot more complicated uses for Excel, but this is what I use them for in my home life now. I keep track of my property taxes, the dates that I paid them, the check numbers, the whether I got any kind of credit from the state. I use it to keep track of my quarterly estimated income taxes, charitable contributions of various types. We have miscellaneous organized charities. We have church donations, contributions to political parties. Okay, I also find, now that I'm 7 years into retirement, that medical expenses are taking over my life. So keeping track of them for tax purposes is quite a project. So I have Excel files for tracking my payments for supplemental insurance, payments for Medicare, payments for doctors and labs, physical therapy, it's all medical miles for income tax purposes. So it seems to me like I have schedule after schedule. I'm always sitting in front of the computer that I never thought I was going to use. I also, we have household expenses to pay every month. I have a little log, little check off log, so I make sure that I paid everything. Because as I get older, my memory is going. And so sometimes I was finding, I thought I paid everything, and then all of a sudden I found a bill in a pile of papers. So now I have a log, so I can look at it in mid-month and make sure that I've paid everything. I can keep track of insurance policies and see, see what my rates are, or whether the rates are rising, whether it's time to start looking for new coverage. TV and cable contracts, the cable contracts, they put them in place for a certain period of time and then they expire, and all of a sudden you're paying $50 more a month. So we keep track of those. And then I have a lot of miscellaneous uses for schedules. This is all from my home life. So we have our birthday list for friends and family, probably the most important list. Holiday lists, and as Mike said, I can do labels for Christmas card, baby lists. You guys all probably all don't keep track of all this kind of information, but I don't know, for me it's important. Baby birthdays, baby births, important events and my friends' baby lives. I also I don't know, I find I seem to be constantly dieting. Up pounds, down pounds. So I started keeping food journals. So it's Excel seems to provide a good method of putting together those schedules, and that's been very helpful to me. As far as social life, if you invite people over very often and you serve them food, you don't want to be serving them food that they gave you the recipes for. So I like to keep track of whatever menus I serve, so that if I invite the same people over again, I'm not saving them the same things that I know how to make each time. Party to-do lists, emergency phone numbers, for medical purposes, when you go to have a test done or something, they always want your health history, so I kind of print it all out and have it with me. Medications and supplements, I keep a schedule of that. Home maintenance projects, contract info. I'm going to add Mike Rowan's name definitely to that contract info now that I see his capabilities with that Sketchup program.
Question for you. Did you create all these spreadsheets from scratch?
I create them all from scratch. Yeah.
Because they have a lot of downloads that you can do, and then just change the downloads that you can get from Microsoft. When you open it up, you can download templates and then change the template to wherever you want.
Oh, who's talking? Is that Fred?
It's Bob Francis.
Francis.
Yeah.
I haven't used templates.
They have a very good monthly budget template on Microsoft's, and it's free. Just download it, then you modify it to what what you want to do.
I will look for them after this is over. That's good to know. Because this is a lot of scheduling, right? But it gets worse. So I also have hobbies, and one of my hobbies is I sing 4-part harmony with a semi-professional music organization. So as I was saying earlier, we do 3 or 4 concerts a year, and then we also have small subgroups who go out and sing. So we have to keep pulling these music scores, some of which are pretty expensive, out of my files. So that was the most difficult filing system. But I found if I could just keep a schedule of them and then get them into the files associated with the schedule, it really worked well. So that's been very helpful to me. And then we have other things as we're going along. We have the concert programs of what we performed for each concert, and in accordance with that, I was also the manager of concert recordings for this chorale. So I would arrange to have a professional videographer come and record the concerts, and then he would create either CDs. Now I'm no longer doing this, but I was doing this for about 15 years. And then so when I was doing it, we were creating CDs. Now they're doing the digital access, but I would hire him, but before I would hire him, I had to take orders for these recordings and collect money for these recordings and keep track of all of that. So the group has about 120 singers, and sometimes the orchestra wanted recordings also. So I needed a way to track that and then a way to keep track of who I distributed the recordings to once I got them. So that was more organizing for that corral. So, and then back up here on other volunteer work, I belong to another group. It's a club, so it's a nonprofit, but it's a very active club. They're active weekly, and I am their treasurer. So, but they have weekly events, so it's a lot of collecting admission fees and or signing up for special events, collecting those fees. A lot of expenditures, keeping track of expenditures. If we have a fundraiser, each fundraiser has its own set of income and outflows. So keeping track of all of that. I have monthly bank statement reconciliations. I keep track of member attendance at weekly events, the monthly financial position, and I do P&L for each time they have a special event. And again, I think looking into those templates will probably help me with all of this, because I do a lot of a lot of tracking and a lot of rosters, and it's time consuming. I keep wondering why I don't get anything done around the house, but after I started doing this project for the club, I realized I'm on the computer like all day long, and I was someone who thought I would never be on the computer after I retired. So, I mean, each of these things requires schedules, and you know, I have a good filing system, but sometimes I can't find them. So I use File Explorer the way Mike used. Well, Mike didn't use File Explorer. He had his own system. But back on my first sheet, File Explorer is one of my 4 programs that I use. So, I didn't hear what you said, Bob. I'm sorry. Bob? Could you repeat that?
Now, Bob, that he
I
was
think
not
it was just some
speaking.
background noise.
I just muted Bob Francis
Oh,
for a moment.
okay, all right. So Word is also one of my frequently used programs, and I spent quite a number of years on the homeowners board of trustees, which was probably a big mistake, but there I was. That also, as of 2 years ago, I was off that, but I used that to do the meeting agendas and the monthly board meeting minutes, and that was, you know, and thanks to Henry, I was able to make the minutes look at least interesting. He showed us how to use headings and styles, and so I managed to impress some people with at least with the look of the minutes. Right? If they weren't happy with the content, they could at least comment on the look. Right? Other household uses for Word, I use it for general correspondence. I use it a lot for addressing envelopes. Recipes is a big part of my life. I have a lot of social events, and so keeping track of recipes is very helpful for that. And I just use it for general record keeping, for, you know, if I call Comcast and have a conversation with them, or if I call a stockbroker and have a conversation, I quickly type it up so I have something in my file of what I did. And I find it hard to I have a problem with my hands, so it's hard for me to write. So this is it's very helpful for me to be able to type it in and keep track of events that way. What else? So just, you know, general stuff that we all go through every time we wake, you know, every day we wake up and something new is happening that requires a phone call to someone. So if I make the phone call, I usually type a little blurb and stick it in the file. You know, all of a sudden I woke up, I've been carefully avoiding paying for insurance on, you know, New Jersey American Water Company, every month they send you these things, you know, sign up for our insurance, it's $5 for this and $5 for that. And I haven't signed up for it. Now, all of a sudden this month I got my water bill and they put the insurance on there without my ever authorizing it. So now another letter has to go out for that. So you know, it's just things like that, you know. So basically that's my usage of computer in my everyday life and my hobbies, my volunteer work, and it suits my needs. It's kind of simple. I use a lot fewer functions than Mike used. As I was listening to Mike, I was thinking, wow, I have a much simpler computer life than he does. I do some of the other things. I haven't set them up. I've had someone help me with them. My son set up a hard drive backup system for me, but I can't tell you what it was. And it didn't occur to me that I even use that. Kind of just sits there and works for me. But anyway, other than that, I hope this gives people who are just, you know, ordinary non-technical people some ideas on how you can use Microsoft Office to help keep your everyday life organized. And I thank you for the opportunity to let you know about my life.
A question for you.
Yeah.
What, you're using the latest version of Word? Are you using like 2021 or something like that?
No, I'm still using Office 2010. When I get the new computer that I'm told I need, I will update everything. I'll get Office 365, and so right now I'm still a dinosaur.
Sorry about that, John. My wife was making a noise and I don't know what it was because she fell the other night and I had to go check her. But anyway, the next question is, I don't know if 2010 has it or not, but when you get Word has a very good dictation, because you said something about your hands, because my wife has a problem with her hands and writing, even typing. She uses Word dictation. It works pretty well.
Oh, that's interesting. And how do you access that? How...
All you gotta do, I think it's Windows H. I think it's Windows H sets up the Word dictation.
If you go to the home screen, to the home tab, you're in Word. Your full screen. I know I've recommended the free online version of Word has dictation and transcription, and they're very good.
Is that in Office 365?
No, as long as you have a Microsoft account, which is a Hotmail or Outlook.com email account, usually, right? Just go to office.com in your browser, and when you go to office.com, it'll have you log in, and then it'll show you Word, Excel, all these things online in your browser.
Okay, Word online.
And then you can save the resulting document back down to your computer.
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to look into that. Thank you.
It should be in here as well. I just don't see it. Let's see, review mailings, references, and view. You'll have to check and see whether this version of Word has dictation in it. But as Bob Francis says, especially for quick notes, if you want to do it this way, you can just dictate it. It won't make much difference whether it misspells things or anything like that.
Oh, that would be great. That would be really helpful for me because,
What you can do is you can do File and go to Options.
Okay.
We're taking a lot more time than I expected for these presentations. So I think that we should get on to Sujit. And now you've got a topic for the Word workshop.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you very much.
Fascinating. And
Excellent.
would you stop sharing now, Mary?
I will do that if I can figure out how to do that.
Up to the
Okay.
top.
Yeah. I see new share.
Remember, we talked about that little bar, the Zoom bar.
Yeah. John, I don't remember how to do it.
Close your application first.
No, I see. If
You can
move your
see my
cursor-
screen. You can see the bar on the top of my screen, right?
I see the viewers bar.
John, you
stop.
you can stop her sharing too.
You are.
I did
viewing-
it. I just overrode her. So
Yeah, you're a co-host, so you were able, and
Yeah.
Sujit is now beginning. This is Sujit D'Mello, and you can read all about him, and he will tell us about himself. And you're on, Sujit. Thank you.
thank you. And thanks, Mary. That was very good. Enjoyed that. Okay, so I just put a link in the chat window in case folks want to follow along with the agenda, because I'll be doing mostly live demonstrations. So the agenda is in the chat window if you want to click in there and follow along. I am a software engineer, so a few of my favorite tools that I use every day are related to software engineering or computer programming. So I'll go through a few of them, but there's also a few tools that I have here that are not specific to programming, so there'll be a more general purpose interest. So I'm going to start with the one that I use most often.
Stop you for a minute, Sujit.
Sure.
Your sound is not coming through clearly.
Okay, is that everybody's having the problem?
Yeah, you're getting a lot
I
of
also-
Can't hear you either.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
fuzzy.
yeah, it's fuzzy. It has like a fuzzy trailing background noise.
Yeah, there's
that you
background.
speak.
It's horrible. It's hard to listen to.
Try again, Sujit.
How about now?
Much
Say some more. That
Yes.
sounds
Good.
Can you hear me? Is it
Yeah,
okay?
yes, that's
better.
much
Oh.
better.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I guess it wasn't plugged in correctly.
Good.
So I put a link in the chat window in case folks want to follow along with the agenda. There's a little website that you can go to. I posted stuff that I was going to talk about today because I'll be doing mostly live demonstrations. I'm a software engineer, so I'm going to be talking mostly about a few things about software development, and then there's some general purpose tools that I use as well every day, literally, or at least once a week, if not every day. I'll start with the first one. The one I use most often is called VS Code, also known as Visual Studio Code, but most people refer to it as just VS Code. And this is, you can think of this like I think a lot of you use Notepad++, and this is sort of like that. It's, it's a very, very souped up text editor. It does, of course, you can kind of do text editing just like I have here. The normal things that you would expect, but from the text editor, search, etc. But the real value of this comes is when you open up a file, any text file, right, that has a certain extension. Let's say I open up this file over here, which is has an extension of .go. And that's a Golang file. So it's a Golang is a programming language, which was invented by Google and is now pretty popular. I use it from time to time. And so you can see when it opened up the Golang file, it colored it accordingly, formatted it correctly. And and it kind of gives it that feel that like a Golang developer would expect. I also have over here in the root is, let's say, a Python file, which is a .py. And that one also is now, you can see it's got some nice syntax, some coloring. It kind of gives you a little more information about, like when you hover over these keywords, it tells you what the print command actually does. So it's somehow aware of this file just by the extension. And the way that it does it is in VS Code, you can install a whole bunch of extensions. There's thousands of extensions, I want to say. And so, based on the file extension, which is .py, you could look for, it will automatically install like a Python extension, and that Python extension then enables all of this stuff to happen, right? It colors it correctly. It gives you some nice tips as you move the mouse over it, etc. I also have a Java program over here in the same folder, and you can see it is also, giving me that kind of information. Now it's telling me about that Java class that's over there, and it's automatically switched to the Java extension. So bottom line is you can open up any text file in here. It's really meant for text editing, and most code is text editing. I looked yesterday. I know this group over here likes to program in VB Script and VBA. And there's extensions for all of them as well. So you could really program, you could use this for any of those languages as well. And while you're here, if you want to actually run it, you just have to click the run button, which you can see it comes over here. And right away it ran that program. It compiled the Java program and ran it. Kind of does it really easily. Similarly for Go, it's a little bit different. I need to go over here to the thing and run the Go code. And look at the debug output, and there you see it ran the Go code over there. So, it can run any language because there's all these extensions available. So this is the one tool that any developer these days uses. You go to any developer from Google to Facebook to Amazon, everybody uses VS Code. This is, and that's the tool that I use a lot as well.
Is that the free version?
Oh yeah, I wanted to, and thanks for reminding me. So Free John will like this, but every tool I am going to talk about today and is on the agenda is free. Okay, most of the extensions, as far as I know, are free. There's one extension which is not free, and I'm going to talk about that one now. So when you run Python, here's an example of a Python app. Okay, and of course I could run this Python app by just going here and say, it's kind of running it. It's showing me some of the results right there. Okay, let me just quit out of this. Now, let's say I think everyone over here has heard of ChatGPT. It seems to dominate the news these days. And I have an extension over here. Let me zoom in a little bit so you see that. So I have an extension over here, right, in the lower right-hand corner. And this is called the GitHub Copilot, okay, extension. This is the only extension that I have which costs money, but I'm going to show you what it does just so you understand the value that it has. So talking about ChatGPT, it does AI. Well, we've been using AI for software development for a few years now, and I want to show you how that works. So if I just put a comment in here, okay, in this code, and I say, hey, download the content from https bcug.com and display it on the console. Okay, I just put a comment with it. That's something that I want to work on. Now I'm hitting tab, right, and it's writing the code for me just based on the comment that I wrote. Okay, and that's it. He wrote the code for me exactly like I wanted to. I'm going to run this, and you can see the content for BCUG is right here in the bottom. We went and downloaded it, and you can see over there, all of that is here. So it's kind of cool that, as a developer or so, and it could be for any of you, if you are a hobby developer and you're not really sure how to get started, well, just write a comment there and see if your AI programmer can do it for you. So that is the first tool I wanted to show you, which is VS Code.
As AI is built into that?
Yeah, it's an extension. It's called Copilot.
Oh,
GitHub
okay.
Copilot. So you can install it from the extensions over here. If you look for Copilot, and you can activate it. Like I said, it does cost money, but if you are somebody who contributes to the open source community, in other words, you're an open, you make contributions to open source, Microsoft will give you that Copilot for free.
Interesting.
All right, so I will move to the second one. The one that I use also very often is called Windows Subsystem for Linux. So like I mentioned, I'm a software engineer, and these days most of my work is done in the cloud in terms of cloud applications. And in the cloud, most people use Linux, and so I need to be able to access Linux, but I have a Windows computer. Yes, I know I could probably use Hyper-V or use what is that, VirtualBox, something like that. But it turns out that Windows has Linux built into it. You just have to download it from the store. You can see the link in the website that I sent you. And there's a few steps to get, and you'll get Linux. You'll get Ubuntu Linux or Kali Linux or any Linux distribution you want running right inside Windows. So it runs kind of natively inside of Windows. And so you can see over here, I have a Linux, my Linux thing, just like you would expect. For example, if I wanted to just type uname -a, it tells me it's running Linux desktop and gives you the GNU Linux, the version number, et cetera, right? So it looks like pretty good. For example, and a number of folks over here may have heard of the Snake program. Yeah, I tried to run it. It says the Snake's not here, but you can install it. So let's go ahead and install it. I will install Snake by installing BSD Games. And run it. And so you can see right away it went and downloaded it. You can run Snake, and now we can play Snake, right? So I guess the point here to show you is that it's a full Linux kind of thing. You can do whatever Linux can do right in your desktop. Now in the Windows desktop. Now the nice thing about it is that it's not just limited to text based. You can even run graphics applications like Xcalc, for example, right? And you can see the calculator comes up here, or VLC is my favorite, right? So everyone here has used VLC, but there's VLC for Linux. So I'm going to run the Linux version of VLC on Windows, okay? And you can see it's running right here. Let's open up a file. I have this one from a previous meeting with Joe, when Joe did the presentation on photography. And so you can see I'm playing the video in VLC in
April 1st.
In VLC in Linux. So you could really do all sorts of things there. You also saw I had the code. I was using VS Code on Windows. You can also run VS Code on Linux now. And here's the Linux version of VS Code. It looks surprisingly similar to what I just showed you, and it should be, because it is the same thing. And you can kind of run applications. Let's see if we can give it a run here. Start with our debugging, run thing, and you can see right away it ran my PHP app on the Linux box using VS Code, but this is the Linux version of VS Code. You can see it's got the weird window around it. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted to show you about the Windows subsystem for Linux. Okay, I definitely recommend you if I think everyone over here loves Linux, so this is something that you want to take a look at.
Are you using an a server?
No X server. No, it runs natively in Linux itself here.
Because you're using WSLG?
It's just WSL now. With WSL version 2, everything's built in. It's not a separate version. So this is with Windows 11. You have to have Windows 11 for that. Does it answer your question, John?
No, that's good.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is you may have noticed over here I'm using the Windows terminal, right? This is one of my, and this is the third app that I use a lot. You can download this app from the Windows Store. You can see it's essentially it's a new kind of command prompt. You can see I have multiple tabs. You have a PowerShell tab here where I can run some PowerShell commands. I have the usual Windows command prompt here, which is also available to you. and my Linux command prompt, right? And you can add additional command prompts as required from here. There's different command prompts that are there. There's one for cloud development, etc. So this is, I think, is one of my favorite new add-ins that they've added. I mean, I know traditionally we've used just the command prompt and we've had to make that work. But this, you can see, it's got different color schemes that I can have for each of the various prompts that I use, and it's very useful. So just you can just download this from the App Store, from the Windows App Store. Now, when I showed you over here, when I showed you VS Code, it's got all these languages. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you're a developer who spends all day or regular, most of your day developing, you might find this tool very useful for you because it's very powerful. But it's also sometimes difficult to set up and get to work just right. If you're more like a hobby developer, there are language-specific IDEs or integrated development environments you could use. And I'm just going to browse. I'm going to show you these three real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time, but there's more information in the agenda slide that I sent out. One of them is Visual Studio 2022. Again, this is free community edition, so no cost to it. But this is if you do .NET development, C#, if you're writing C# code all the time. This is the best IDE for you. So this is best of breed for a specific language, right? It does .NET very well. I like the way that they organize all of your files over here in one corner. You get all of your debug menu, everything on this side, and at the bottom you have your output. So it's very well organized just for software development, right? It does a really good job. For example, over here, I have a test case that I have written. I can just right click on it and say run the test or debug the test. And, without any fuss, you don't have to kind of do anything special in setting it up. This works out of the box. It'll just run my test cases. And you can see I've kind of put a breakpoint over here to stop in the debugger. I can kind of step into that and inspect values and things like that. So I think if you do, I guess the point I wanted to make real quick on this one is that if you do specific language kind of development, then I would use one of these specialist IDEs. The other two specialist IDEs, if you do Java development, you should look at IntelliJ. It's very good. This is what I use when I have to do Java development. Again, it's just very well organized for all Java artifacts, and it just kind of works very easily out of the box. So certainly recommend this one. Similarly, if you do Python development, and I suspect some of you may do that, you should use PyCharm. Both PyCharm and IntelliJ are made by JetBrains, which is the name of the company, and the community editions are both free and have been free for a long time. And they update it like every month. The code is automatically updated every month. So I can't say enough about these two. If you do those specific languages, use these language-specific IDEs. If you do any of these, if that's the kind of language that you want to learn or work on. The next tool I'm going to show you is an interesting tool called Postman. Okay, so let's look at Postman. Now, Postman is one of those tools, and many of these tools actually are also available. I think all of the tools so far that I've showed you, VS Code, Visual Studio 2022, IntelliJ, and PyCharm are available both for Windows and Mac. Okay, and VS Code I showed you runs on Linux as well, but they're all available on Mac as well. So including Postman. So Postman is a tool for what does it do? So typically, if you go to a website and if you're trying to download something, you could you're accessing this website on the internet, and it's doing what they call an HTTP GET command to get the information and show it to you on the screen. And this is information that's meant to be human readable. But there's a whole bunch of websites on the internet that are not human readable, and they are called APIs. So they're supposed to be readable by computer programs, okay? And when you want to access those or try them out, you need a different kind of a browser. You need Postman. Okay, so Postman is a kind of browser for APIs in the internet. I'll give you an example. So there's a weather API you can access. Okay, here's the website here. It's free weather API. It takes some parameters, latitude, longitude, and what kind of temperature unit you want. These are the coordinates for Homedale, New Jersey. And so I'm just going to hit the send button. It's going to do a get command. It's going to send it out, right? And it's going to return back immediately this data, which looks a little odd, but this is how computers expect the information back. And you can see it's telling me the temperature in Homedale is a chilly 35 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Similarly, there's another website that I have been working on where I can take a list of recipes, all these recipe items that you find in any magazine, and you need to kind of analyze it. So you can just take it, you send it up to my API here, and it gives you back a nice list, where it kind of sorts out all of the items in the recipe, kind of like something that I think Mike was just showing us with the cut list. So it's very similar. This is the buy list for the recipe. So I kind of wrote a small API for that as well. So that is Postman, and so Postman is useful. I strongly suggest that folks get to use Postman because it's a very interesting tool to use on the internet. There's a lot of APIs out there, and you can start building, a little bit small utilities to make some of your lives a little easier. I think you'll find it very good. Then the next one I want to show you is Audacity. This is the tool that I use pretty regularly. I also have a weekly podcast called the Azure Podcast, and as part of that, we typically record on Teams. So we use Microsoft Teams to record. We get a few folks on a call, and we record the video, and then I create the audio version of that podcast from the video. And so I use Audacity every week for that. I'll just give you a quick example of how that works. So I'm going to open up a file, and there's a recent. Actually, let me show you the file first. This is what the file looks like. This is what a recording looks like.
Team, especially based on size or
something that
the type of application workload, is ready to tackle.
So that's a recent podcast that I recorded with a few other folks, and so I want, suppose I want to create an audio version of this, and make it suitable so folks can where does it go? Can listen to it on your podcast app, right? That's what you want. So what you do is, let's see, go to your desktop. And that's the video that we were just seeing. I'm going to open it up here, and it's going to bring it in, and it's going to use another code that's using FFmpeg, which we've talked about before, to convert this into an audio file format. And once it's here, you can do some kind of processing on it, right? I select the whole file. There's three kinds of processing that I do on it. One is you run a special, where is that? You run an effect, and I run the compressor, right? What the compressor does is, I'm going to apply it. And what it's going to do is going to make people who talk loudly and people who talk softly, it's going to try and even out all the voices a little bit so that it sounds more or less uniform on the podcast. So you can see it kind of changed the waveform a little bit there. Similarly, what I also like to do is to remove any clicks and if some of those clicks and pops, it kind of gets rid of that automatically. And finally, what I'd like to do is to where is that noise? Is that not? Where's the silent reduction noise? Special. Truncate silence. So the truncate silence is interesting. Most people, when you listen to a podcast, you don't want to have too many gaps in the way people are talking. And so this is a nice little trick. You'll see that it got rid of all those silent sections in the audio. So the audio will seem a little more smoother now. And now I can, export this to an MP3 file, and then make it available as a podcast. So Audacity is the full bells and whistles tool. So strongly recommended if you're into anything into audio, use Audacity. Okay, the next one on my list, and John, am I okay on time, or I think we're getting too late? It's almost 9 o'clock. I have a couple more to cover.
Anybody who needs to leave is going to leave, but I think this is very interesting. And if we go a little bit longer tonight, that's fine.
Sounds
Go.
good. All right, and even if folks have to leave, you have the you have the list. You can download it. I've sent the agenda, so all the links are there. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk about, which I think folks over here may have seen, and that is the Process Explorer. Right, this is from Sentinel. It's a tool. It's a Windows-only tool. You can think of this as the Uber Task Manager. Right, there's a Task Manager in Windows, but this gives you much more information than Task Manager can. It's like, let me kind of zoom in a little bit over here for you. So you could see how, I like the tree view that it has. It kind of highlights, it kind of shows you the way processes are related to each other in a lovely tree. It gives you a lot of detail right out of the box, on the screen itself. And one thing nice is that, if at the bottom over here, I don't know if you noticed it, but it's giving you all of the DLLs that a particular process has open, right? So if I select, let's say, I don't know, we select one of these processes here, it tells you all the DLLs that are open by this process. So, if you're out there looking for, anything problems with your computer, you worry, or you think there's something funky going on, you can come here and you can analyze all of the things in your that you have going. Now, obviously, if you click on something and if you double click on something, it'll give you a lot of details. So let's pick something over here, right? And you can see you get more details, like including how many TCP/IP connections may be open from there, like a performance graph, and of course, the very nice one of my favorites is the CPU graph, the GPU graph. If you have a GPU processor on your computer, it shows you how the GPU is used. So let's see if you find a program that does use a GPU. One of the programs that uses the GPU, I think, is the Zoom application itself, the one that we're using right now. So if you want to find it, there's so many apps here. How do you find it? It's got a nice little find box over here, which comes in handy. So just type in Zoom right here, and it'll right away come into the Zoom application. And we double click it, right? And you can see right away, it's showing me the GPU. See, Zoom's using a lot of GPU memory, and the GPU is being used. So Zoom is making use of the GPU to give a better experience on my computer because I have one. So it's, it's nice way to, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go, what did I do? I think I got rid of that by mistake. Yeah, so it's go to Windows command prompt, system tunnels, you can Arc Explorer, 64-bit, and then you have to go here and say show details for all processes, and it's going to run as an administrator. Essentially, it's going to come back. So this is where back where we left off. I closed it by mistake. Now, one thing you can do is to click here, right, in options, and say replace task manager. And so when you do this, now it's permanently there for you. So if you ever go here and say task manager, it's going to bring. It's not going to bring up Windows Task Manager. It's going to bring up Process Explorer. Right, so it's a nice way to, if you like the application, you can make it permanent for your use over here. Let's say the other one I wanted to show you, similar to Process Explorer, is called Process Monitor. This is very useful if you think you have a virus on your computer, right? If you have a virus in your computer, or you have a program that you're suspecting is doing things that shouldn't do. This is kind of a nice program. This is a program that will scan everything that's happening with every program in your computer. Okay, it's a very powerful program from that perspective. So I'm going to hit the capture button here. I'm going to let it run for a while, right? You can see it's capturing events. It's already captured 250,000 events in 5 seconds, right? Now, very soon, 500,000 events. So it's really capturing everything that's happening on my computer, every program. Now, obviously, that's a little too much. So we're going to just stop this, over here, and then you can do a filter, and you can say, hey, can show me every, every program that is throwing errors, right? So is not success. with the result is not success. And so we hit OK. And it's going to analyze all the information. And now it's going to show you, a bunch of things where you can see there's some registry settings which are not returning successful. There's some files but are getting buffer overflow errors, etc. So you kind of like do a lot of detailed analysis in this. And if you just double click on it, it shows you a lot of information, which process, what the stack was, what DLLs had caused that particular event. So this is capturing like a ton of information for you. And anytime I have something wrong on the computer, I'm worried about a particular program. I don't know what a program does because, you just buy the program or you download it from the internet. You go here and it'll tell you exactly what the program's going to do, right? It's very useful from that perspective. I can show you real quick. I'm going to change this. Let's reset that filter. We're going to say, where the program name is. Let's say, I don't know, Java is here. It's java.exe, right? So we're going to add a filter. Show me any events where the program name is java.exe. And I'm going to, start the capture, let it run, right? So it is now running. Actually, let's just clear the screen so we see things that you can see. The Java program is doing things like accessing the internet. So everything you can track right from here. You know what, if you're worried that something's not right or some program's not doing something that it should, you can track it from here. I'm going to stop that. And then the second last program I'm going to show you is ZoomIt. You may have seen me doing this a little bit during the presentation. It's a nice little handy utility that lets you do things like this. You can annotate things like this, and if you need to show it, it's great for demonstrations like that. If you want to draw lines, or you can even draw little boxes around things, right? So it's a nice little utility for giving demonstrations and showing, like you want to mark up the screen as you're giving the demonstration. It also does things like I think you can even do like you don't have to zoom in. You can do it even without zooming in, just on the regular screen. Let me get rid of that. And I believe you can. It's basically a small little tray icon over here that sits at the bottom. Is it here? See, yeah, I know that's. Where is it? ZoomIt. It must be this. No. Don't see anything, but it normally a tray, maybe it's running in the background, but it's a tray icon that runs in the back. It lets you do all of these things. So you can download it from sysinternals. It's called ZoomIt. And it also has things like a timer that's built into it. If in case you need to people to take a break during a presentation, you can start a virtual timer. What else? Yeah, there's a couple of other utilities that it does. And then the last utility I'm going to show you is the last program I like. You can download from the Microsoft Store. It's called the Whiteboard application, right? The Whiteboard application, like you expect, you could kind of draw into it. Here's a little drawing I made recently when I went to the UK last summer, and we were planning our trip to the UK. I also have a tablet over here, which is also running the whiteboard, and I have the same thing open over here. It's essentially connected on the internet, right? So you can make the changes anywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's say, always wanted to go to to Nottingham, and you can see I drew a circle around Nottingham over there. And you'll notice that I just drew what appeared to be like a pretty rough circle, but it made it very smooth, you'll notice. And it does that automatically. As you draw things, it detects that, oh, I think she's trying to draw a circle. Let me make it a proper circle. So that's what it does for you. Similarly, if you draw like a little thing that looks like a square box, right? You notice that it made it a really good square box. My drawing is not that good, but it kind of does that for you automatically. So it's a nice little way to kind of annotate, to do diagrams, annotate things as you go along. The fact that you could do it on different computers, you could do these kind of demonstrations as you go along. You could share what you're doing with somebody else. Now on obviously the one that I have, the Surface, I have a pen, so it's easier with the pen. I want to say, of course, but you could also do it with just a mouse, or if you have a touch enabled laptop, the finger works just as well. And I think I may have missed one, which I'll just show you real quick, and that is draw.io. So the nice free, again, this is a free, it's a free Visio-like utility, right? It lets you draw excellent, flowcharts, diagrams. I use it all the time. Here's a little diagram I drew for my podcast website. I wanted to calculate all the downloads that were happening, and so I wrote some programs to do it, and just kind of shows how the programs flow and how it runs every day. Every night it calculates how many downloads had happened. So but I just able to quickly put it together using the draw.io. So draw.io again is available both on Mac and Windows. In fact, you can use it on a web as well, on a browser as well, but this is the Windows app for it. I think I've covered everything. Yep, that's it. That's all I had. Thanks for hanging on a little longer. And I will stop sharing, and any questions if anybody has them.
What was that, David? Draw.io is what that was?
Draw.io.
Oh, draw.io.
Yeah.
And what about that Zoom? You said from SysInternals, you had something about the Zoom where you.
Yeah, I put the links. I don't know if you saw the chat window. There is all the links are there. There's a little.
The GitHub thing?
Yeah, the GitHub thing has all the links that you need.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there, as I said, everything I showed you today is free, with the exception of the GitHub Copilot, which costs a little bit of money.
Very good.
Question, Sujit.
Yes.
Whiteboards. I have no idea what that is. You just mentioned it. And I noticed that on the bottom of my Zoom screen, over on the right, it says whiteboards.
Yep.
Can you give a demo of what to do with that?
That's what I was just showing you. I don't know if you just saw my screen earlier. I showed the map of the UK. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So that was the whiteboard application, and then I have the same thing. I also have run the app on my Surface, right? So I was able to annotate it here, and it's basically connected on the internet. So any changes I make here immediately reflect in the whiteboard app that is on the computer, the desktop computer that is used for this presentation. Is that your question?
Were you using the Microsoft Whiteboard app?
Yeah.
Or the Zoom Whiteboard?
Good question. It's the Microsoft Whiteboard app.
Yeah, my question is how to use the Zoom Whiteboard app.
Well,
that's a good question. I've not tried that.
So if I go down to there and I start a whiteboard, it's loading my whiteboard, and I can start a new. I clicked on that, and it's starting a new whiteboard. Now, I guess I would have to share. So do you want to open a whiteboard, collaborating, presenting? I'm going to click presenting. Actually, I'm going to leave it on collaborating. Do you want users to have access to the whiteboard after the meeting? Not after the meeting. Open the whiteboard. So right now, you should see a whiteboard opening. Is that what you see?
Yes.
So this is me using the Zoom whiteboard, and I allowed users to collaborate. So anybody who's on here can draw things on there. Explore tools, I could do next or whatever, and show you some things. If I draw a circle, let's see, I have to take a pencil and draw a circle, and you did that, and you can all see what we're drawing. And I can connect this circle to this circle. And Andy is over there, and he put some text on it. So you see, Bill,
Yep,
Did you start collaborating on here?
I did. I'm right. Hi, folks.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but with Sujit, his layered over some other image, that map. The
Yes, now,
whiteboard in Zoom, I don't think does, haven't been successful in doing that. Like, let's say I have an image that I want to illustrate and I want to do some sketching right over that with the whiteboard. I don't know how you layer with Zoom, but with Sujit's utility, he layered it right over a map.
yes, now I'm going to go and find a JPEG, choosing backups of biology too seriously. Let's see what that is.
Looks like
Oh.
somebody, Andy maybe has already put one.
Andy put one? Good. Okay.
I just added a template.
Sometimes he's
On-
faster than me, but you could put
on-
any, you can go and put a background. That's one of the sticky note. Let's see, templates.
Two below
Upload.
the
upload.
T for text. The tools on the left-hand side, there's an uppercase T for text.
Yeah,
Two below that, if you click, it gives you a choice of templates.
but there's also one for uploading a PDF and an image. The up arrow allows you to put a PDF on there. So if you wanted to share a PDF and have people point at things in the text and say, circle them and edit them, or you wanted to upload an image, like Sujit must have used his image snap program or the Snip and Sketch to take a picture of the map. And then he put that as the background.
That's
and he
correct.
could write on it.
Where is the image? Where is the image upload? I don't see it. On the top right?
The up arrow. Here, if I click on this, I can go into this folder, and if I go into temp, and if I look, here's a JPEG image, Apple and Mary.
He's the host, so he gets to do things that we don't get to.
Ah,
Yeah.
So I just put this in here, and I can make it bigger, right?
annotate over that. Go ahead, annotate over that image.
If I want to put, let's see, pencil. Right there.
I just drew on around the apple. I took orange and drew around the apple.
Right? So I can put any picture there. If I right click on it, I can bring it forward or backward. Right?
Okay.
And so I can make it the background. Like I just,
I'm taking the eraser. I'm erasing you guys.
John, when you say you access your image with the up arrow, what up arrow are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't.
that one right there.
Well, we don't see your cursor.
We don't see the
Right.
up arrow.
Yeah, you're not the host.
Yeah.
He's setting it up, so he's the only one that got that extra.
But where would one look if one was in a position to do that?
There's an icon menu on the left side of my screen.
Right?
And
Oh,
Andy sees it, right? Andy saw it because he selected the pencil and the text and wrote his name. And Bob Francis found the eraser and erased something. So they must be able to see this. I do not
Oh,
know.
I got it. Up arrow is the coming
Upload,
up from the bottom. Coming up from the bottom is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
yes, yes.
It's an up arrow with a line on the bottom.
yeah. And if you hover over that, it says upload PDFs and images.
I see.
Yeah.
But I just copied Sujit's image and pasted it there. I just did a screenshot from the participants and did a Control V.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
You don't see that in the
Only
middle?
John is
There,
sharing
There.
his.
now I see it. Maybe it just
It
took a while.
finally uploaded.
Okay.
And if I go and I should be able to select that with the select, and now I can make that bigger. and I could put a mustache on this young lady over here.
Oh, don't do that to Marilyn.
Somebody else put that up, okay? So I permitted collaboration. You don't have to permit collaboration. When you start a whiteboard, you have a choice, and you have a choice of the persistence of the whiteboard. So you can try that. Take your smartphone and your computer and start a personal Zoom session in your personal Zoom account, and you can watch it on one and do it on the other, or if you got two computers or whatever, okay?
Can I ask Sujit a question about Audacity?
Sure.
Yeah, I've never been successful in separating the audio from the video in Audacity, but you did several different utilities, sub-utilities in Audacity. Can you chain the utilities? Can you chain them together as one entity so that when you want to clean out the video, just get the audio?
Well, that's what I just showed you, right? And when I did it,
But you did it step by step. Can you chain those together as a single entity? Is there kind of a package that you can make out of it?
oh, you mean all of the enhancements that I made to the audio? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, you did it step by step, and I've done
Yes.
all of
Yeah.
those things, but I've never
never
able
figured
to
out how
out
to
the audio.
automate it. No, I do it manually that way every week.
Right, but my question, is there a way of packaging, chaining, if you will, all of those steps in Audacity, like a macro of sorts?
It's a good question. I'm honestly not
Okay.
not looked into it. I mean, I only do it once a week, so it's not like a horrible use of my I don't spend a whole lot of time on it, but yeah, I mean, I think that'll be definitely
But
worthwhile.
you used FFmpeg to split.
So Audacity uses it under the covers. You don't have to know that.
Yeah,
But
I have a video editing program that essentially splits the video from the audio. So, I just was curious whether in Audacity, I've never been successful in doing what he just did stepwise. I've done all the different things that I thought would be useful, but I've never been able to get a clean audio out of it. I would get scratching, I would get clipping.
Oh, no. I've never had problems getting the audio out. The audio has been perfect every time.
Yeah, okay.
Extracting out. Yeah, it just, I said, it uses FFmpeg under the covers to extract the MP3 from the MP4 or the audio track from the MP4, and then
yeah, but
Audacity.
Those are separate files anyway. That when you extract it, the audio that you've extracted is exactly the same audio that was in the video file.
Correct.
I understand that.
And then what Sujit had to do was to clean it up.
I understand all that. I've done that, but I've never been successfully able to clean it up.
We can share a session on that if you want. Let's go over that. I'm curious to see what kind of project, because I've been using Audacity literally for 9 years now. That's how long I've been doing the podcast.
I've been using Audacity for a long time too. Yeah.
I've used it, but have you ever done it where you've extracted the audio from the video, but then if you wanted to record something without sound and then create the sound and put the two together so you get the lip sync correct? Have you ever done that with Audacity?
Audacity is only audio, doesn't do video at all.
No, but I mean, if you take Audacity audio and you take a video with no audio and you want to make that audio match the person that you're viewing, his mouth sync to the audio. Right? Can you do that with Audacity? I don't know.
You need a video editor.
Yeah, you need a video editor for that. Audacity will only give you the audio portion that you will use, and then you could import that into any video editor and do it. It does require a little bit of timing. Typically, when I've done it, I've used the clap, the movie clapper to synchronize the sound.
That's what I'm trying to think of, synchronize.
Yeah, that's a standard problem, and the video the clapper where you know the start but then you can always adjust the timing of any audio. You can stretch it as well, and you'll change the pitch. And Audacity has the ability to stretch an audio and adjust the pitch at the same time. Now, this is material for a graphics workshop presentation, where if Bill was willing to host such, and Bill would love to just have something for his agenda for sometime later in the year, and then we could put in questions. How do you do this? How do you do this? And that'd be a great meeting, because I don't think that everybody that's on here tonight, although they could all attend that meeting anyway, if they're interested, but we've reached almost the time when we should be wrapping up this meeting. And I hear that there's interest in that. It's something that I've been doing for decades as well. One of the first jobs that I had was audio editing at Bell Labs. So we could be doing stuff like that. We don't do this every day the way Sujit does, and maybe Fred spends days doing something. So we can have another meeting on this.
Yeah, but John,
yeah.
we all do things a little bit differently. I spend a lot of time on the computer, but tonight's presentations, without singling anyone out, whether it was Mike or Mary or Sujit, it just brought to light how very little in so many different areas, how very little I know, and different ways of doing things, different things you can do. You know, everybody gets used to doing their own little thing in a perfect way, and you figure, wow, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I know how to do this. But there's an unbelievable, like, again, without pointing out just a couple of examples, Sujit, I've heard of GitHub for years and years and years. I've never seen someone just put out an agenda on GitHub.
And it's
It's
not just the agenda. All of the files that I demonstrated are also there, by the way. So you could just download it.
But when you hear GitHub, most of the time it's dealing with software and development and version control, and you get a home user who's not a developer just kind of rolling their eyes saying, I would never use this. And this is pointing out, well, maybe you could. No, you're not a developer. You wouldn't be using it. With Mike, what Mike did with the just showing up, here's a picture, and then being able to, now I'm sure there's no way in hell I would do it at Mike's speed, but to look at a picture and then try to recreate it in a drawing package for a particular reason. Maybe it's something as building a 4-square box, but then playing because you want to be able to create a materials list. Without seeing what Mike did, you wouldn't even know that stuff exists. Same thing with Mary. People talked about, I got involved playing with income taxes for a few years. And with the increase in the standard deduction, people say, oh, I don't have to keep track of this. I don't have to keep track of that. Mary with the medical. There's a difference between the federal and how New Jersey handles medical deductions. So even if you're not doing medical for federal, you would still keep track of it through a spreadsheet like Mary's doing for your state return. All these different things that exist that, kind of roll your eyes away. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do. Wow. There's a real reason for this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see expanding on a dozen of the different topics that were brought up tonight. So 2 attaboys and 1 attagirl for the presenters tonight.
Thank you. I actually had a question for Mary. I was really impressed with all the spreadsheets and Word documents. Where are you saving all that stuff, Mary? Because it sounds like, your whole life's in there. I want to make sure that you're not going to lose it. Where are you saving it? And how are you making sure you don't lose it?
I'm not. As I listened tonight, I realized I have a big gap in my in what I'm doing here, and
Right.
I need to get a backup system.
Well,
So
you said that
just
your
put it on
son-
OneDrive. Yeah.
You said that your son set up a backup system. But I'll tell you, OneDrive is just terrific because you don't even have to think about it. You just,
yeah,
but like Mike is not, OneDrive knows to back up your documents. But Mike
Yeah.
doesn't use his documents folder. He created a parallel one, and he probably never went into the indexing. That was for indexing, but also for OneDrive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways to use this as Windows tools. They're Windows tools.
John, you use 365, right?
Yeah,
And you pay a subscription. What do you get? You get 1 terabyte or something of OneDrive? Do you
Yeah,
get a terabyte?
I think so. Yeah, a terabyte is plenty.
Yeah,
but
it's more than enough.
but even the free version of OneDrive is 15 gigs, which will be more than enough for
I
Mary's
thought it was
documents.
only 5 gigs. I thought it was only 5 gigs on the OneDrive.
Maybe 5 gigs, but even 5 gigs, I'm sure all her
Well,
spreadsheets
we
are
got
gonna
pictures
fit.
and videos. It's not enough, but just documents, yeah, it should be plenty.
Yeah, for
Just
all,
like Microsoft, Bill Gates said years ago, 5 gigs is all you're going to need in the hard drive. We're a long way past 5 gig.
See, there are things that I don't put there. I only use it for my documents, not my pictures or my videos, because they gobble up too much storage.
Yeah.
I put them on some other cheap site someplace else. I got a real bargain on Daegu, and all of my pictures and videos are up there.
Just get a big SSD drive and put them over there.
Yeah, no, I'd rather, that's a different discussion completely.
Yeah.
Ladies and
you're
gentlemen, I
Thank you
really
all.
would like to acknowledge Mike and Mary and Sujit. This was just exciting to hear all of these things. And I appreciate the effort that you all put into making this all happen this way. And you've kept everybody interested and entertained and enlightened through this whole thing. I mean, just as Andy said, hey, look, mind blown. So many things that people are doing. Thank you so much for your effort and your contribution and your participation. And thanks to all the rest of you for participating. If you have suggestions, we got a lot of suggestions here for things to cover. And now we just have to make them happen as the year unfolds. This is our first meeting. Let's have fun.
Good night, everybody.
Let's show
Happy
up.
New Year to everybody.
Take care.
Have a
Very
great
Thank you,
time.
Mary and Sujit. Wonderful
Very good.
presentations.
Very
And
good.
thanks,
Thank you,
everybody,
Mike and
for their
Sujit.
interest.
Mary.
Take care. Take
Thanks
care.
for
Bye.
Bill.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, good night.
Okay, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night all.